Mastering self-awareness is the foundation of emotional strength. It's the ability to understand what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how those emotions influence your thoughts and actions. Many people go through life reacting to situations without truly understanding their emotions. They get angry, frustrated, or overwhelmed without pausing to ask, "Why am I feeling this way?" But emotional strength begins with awareness. Taking a step back and recognizing what's happening inside you before responding to the world around you. Think about a time when you felt deeply hurt by someone's words. Maybe a friend criticized you and it stung. The immediate reaction might be anger or withdrawal, but if you're emotionally aware, you ask yourself, am I hurt because their words were truly mean, or because they triggered an insecurity in me? When you dig deeper, you start to see patterns. Maybe similar situations from your past, maybe a fear of not being good enough. Instead of reacting impulsively, you gain control by understanding your emotions. And that's where emotional strength begins. Developing self-awareness doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice, patience, and a willingness to be honest with yourself. One way to cultivate this habit is by taking a pause when emotions rise. That simple moment of reflection can prevent unnecessary arguments, regretful decisions, or emotional outbursts. The more you practice this, the more control you have over your reactions. Journaling is another powerful tool. Writing down your emotions, your thoughts, and the reasons behind them can help you uncover deeper patterns. Over time, you'll notice recurring themes. Maybe a fear of failure, a deep need for approval, or a tendency to avoid confrontation. These insights give you the power to change. Another aspect of self-awareness is understanding how your emotions affect others. Emotionally strong people recognize that their mood, words, and actions influence those around them. Have you ever been in a room where someone's negative energy was so strong it affected everyone? That's the power of emotions. When you become self-aware, you take responsibility for the energy you bring into a space. You learn to manage your emotions in a way that fosters positive interactions rather than unnecessary conflicts. It's also important to be aware of emotional triggers, those situations, people, or words that instantly set off a reaction in you. Maybe a certain type of criticism reminds you of a childhood experience, or maybe a particular person's behavior always frustrates you. Instead of letting those triggers control you, emotional strength means recognizing them and choosing how to respond. The more you understand yourself, the less power these triggers have over you. Some people avoid self-awareness because it can be uncomfortable. It forces you to face truths about yourself that you may not like. But true emotional strength comes from acknowledging your weaknesses without judgment. Instead of running from difficult emotions, you sit with them, understand them, and learn from them. This ability to be present with your emotions without letting them consume you is what sets emotionally strong people apart. Self-awareness is not about being perfect. It's about being conscious. It's about knowing when you need a break, when you need to speak up, and when you need to let go. It helps you navigate relationships with more understanding, handle stress with more grace, and make decisions that align with your true values. The stronger your self-awareness is, the more control you have over your emotions, and ultimately, your life. Emotional strength isn't about avoiding emotions or suppressing them. It's about learning how to regulate them effectively. Life is full of situations that can trigger stress, frustration, sadness, or anger. But the difference between those who are emotionally strong and those who struggle is how they handle these emotions. When you regulate your emotions, you don't let them dictate your actions. Instead, you create space between feeling and reacting, giving yourself the power to choose your response. Imagine facing a stressful situation. Maybe a coworker unfairly criticizes your work, or a loved one says something hurtful. The natural instinct might be to lash out, shut down, or dwell on the negativity. But when you practice emotional regulation, you take a moment to breathe, assess the situation, and respond in a way that aligns with your values, rather than letting temporary emotions take over. UNO Maxes. Methinks you got into this ability to pause and regain control is what keeps emotions from overwhelming you. One of the most effective ways to regulate emotions is through mindfulness, being fully present in the moment rather than being consumed by past regrets or future worries. When you practice mindfulness, you observe your emotions without judgment. Instead of thinking, "I shouldn't feel this way," you acknowledge, "I feel frustrated right now, and that's okay." By simply recognizing emotions without labeling them as good or bad, you reduce their intensity and make it easier to respond rationally. Breathing techniques are another powerful tool. When emotions run high, your body reacts, your heart rate increases, your muscles tense and your thoughts race. A few deep breaths can calm the nervous system and signal to your brain that you are in control. Even something as simple as inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and exhaling for 4 seconds can shift your emotional state almost instantly. Journaling is also an excellent way to process emotions before they take over. Writing down what you feel helps you gain clarity and separate facts from assumptions. Mathematics operates in this way too, as well as representing thermal signatures. Often, emotions are amplified by the stories we tell ourselves. Maybe someone didn't text back, and suddenly your mind jumps to thoughts like, "They must be mad at me." But when you take a moment to write it down and examine it, you realize there could be many other explanations. This practice prevents emotions from spiraling into unnecessary stress. Another key aspect of emotional regulation is learning how to reframe situations. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable, but how you interpret those challenges determines how they affect you. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, emotionally strong people view them as opportunities to grow. Instead of thinking, "This is unfair," they ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective helps reduce negative emotions and increases resilience in the face of adversity. Sometimes, emotional regulation means knowing when to step away. Not every argument needs to be won, and not every negative situation needs an immediate response. Walking away, taking a break, or even just focusing on something positive can prevent unnecessary emotional reactions. The ability to detach when needed is a sign of true emotional strength. It's also important to recognize that regulating emotions doesn't mean ignoring them. Suppressing emotions only leads to long-term stress and deeper emotional struggles. The goal is not to pretend everything is fine, but to acknowledge emotions while choosing the most constructive way to express them. Talking to someone you trust, engaging in physical activity, or even listening to music can help release emotions in a healthy way, rather than letting them build up. With practice, emotional regulation becomes second nature. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you become the one in control. You respond rather than react, think before you act, and create a sense of balance even in challenging moments. And that balance is what allows you to handle life's ups and downs with strength, grace, and confidence. Emotional strength isn't just about managing your emotions, it's also about protecting your energy. One of the most powerful ways to do that is by setting boundaries and learning to say no when necessary. Many people struggle with this because they fear disappointing others, being judged, or missing out on opportunities. But without clear boundaries, you end up drained, overwhelmed, and emotionally exhausted. Learning to say no isn't about being selfish. It's about valuing your own well-being and recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your needs or values, you're saying no to something else. Your time, your peace, your priorities. Emotionally strong people understand this and are intentional about where they invest their energy. They don't allow guilt or obligation to dictate their choices. Instead, they assess whether something truly serves them before agreeing to it. If it doesn't, they give themselves permission to say no without feeling the need to explain or apologize. Setting boundaries starts with self-awareness. It requires understanding your limits, what drains you, what energizes you, and what you're willing to tolerate. Many people don't realize they have weak boundaries until they find themselves feeling resentful, frustrated, or taken advantage of. Those emotions are signals that a boundary has been crossed. Instead of ignoring them, emotionally strong individuals acknowledge them and take action to protect themselves. One of the most important areas where boundaries are needed is in relationships. Whether it's family, friends, or colleagues, maintaining emotional strength requires setting clear expectations about how you want to be treated. If someone constantly criticizes you, drains your energy, or oversteps your limits, it's up to you to communicate what is and isn't acceptable. This doesn't mean being harsh or rude. It means being assertive and standing up for yourself with confidence. A simple statement like, "I'm not comfortable discussing this," or "I need some time for myself," is enough to reinforce your boundaries. Another common challenge is saying no to requests and obligations. Many people agree to things they don't want to do because they fear rejection or conflict. But emotionally strong individuals understand that their time and energy are valuable. They don't overcommit out of guilt, and they don't feel obligated to explain every decision. They recognize that saying no to one thing often means saying yes to something more important, whether it's their mental health, personal goals, or simply rest. Workplace boundaries are just as important. It's easy to fall into the trap of always being available, taking on extra work, or saying yes to unrealistic expectations. But emotional strength means recognizing when something is beyond your capacity and communicating that clearly. It's okay to say, "I can't take on more right now," or "I need more time to complete this properly." Setting these limits not only protects you from burnout, but also earns respect from those around you. Another critical aspect of boundary setting is detaching from negativity. Emotionally strong people don't allow toxic individuals to consume their energy. They recognize that not every argument needs their participation, and not every person deserves access to their emotions. Instead of trying to change or fix others, they focus on protecting their own peace. They limit interactions with those who drain them, and invest more in relationships that uplift and support them. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out or avoiding responsibility. They're about self-respect. They give you the space to prioritize what truly matters, maintain emotional balance, and show up as your best self. The more you practice setting boundaries and saying no with confidence, the more emotionally strong and in control you become, and that strength allows you to navigate life with clarity, purpose, and peace. Emotional strength is not just about how well you handle your emotions on your own. It's also about the kind of people you allow into your life. The company you keep has a profound impact on your mindset, your confidence, and your overall emotional well-being. Surrounding yourself with supportive people is not just a luxury. It's a necessity for maintaining resilience and inner peace. Quote, "When you have the right people around you, they uplift you, challenge you to grow, and remind you of your strength during difficult times. On the other hand, the wrong people can drain your energy, plant seeds of doubt, and make even small struggles feel overwhelming. Many people hold on to relationships out of habit, history, or fear of being alone. But emotional strength means recognizing when certain relationships are no longer serving you. It means choosing quality over quantity and understanding that the right relationships add value to your life, while the wrong ones take away from it. This doesn't mean cutting people off without reason, but it does mean setting clear boundaries with those who bring negativity, manipulation, or unnecessary stress. If someone consistently makes you feel small, unheard, or emotionally exhausted, it's a sign that their presence is doing more harm than good. Supportive people are those who encourage you to be your best self, not through pressure or unrealistic expectations, but through genuine belief in your potential. They celebrate your successes, remind you of your worth during low moments, and offer guidance without judgment. They don't try to control you or make you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. Instead, they provide a safe space for growth, honesty, and emotional security. At the same time, being surrounded by the right people isn't just about receiving support, it's also about giving it. Emotionally strong people don't just look for relationships where they can benefit, they also invest in others. They offer encouragement, listen without judgment, and create a positive environment where both people can thrive. True emotional strength isn't just about standing tall alone. It's about knowing when to lean on others, and when to be there for them in return. One of the best ways to attract supportive people is to embody those qualities yourself. If you want honesty, be honest. If you want loyalty, be loyal. If you want encouragement, offer it to others. The energy you put into your relationships will often determine the kind of people you attract and keep in your life. When you show up with kindness, authenticity, and a willingness to support others, you naturally gravitate toward those who do the same. Sometimes, choosing the right people means walking away from the wrong ones. It's never easy to distance yourself from people you once cared about, but emotional strength means prioritizing your well-being. It's okay to outgrow relationships, and it's okay to let go of those who no longer align with the person you are becoming. This isn't about holding grudges or shutting people out. It's about making intentional choices that protect your energy and emotional health. Building a strong, supportive circle takes time, but the impact is life-changing. The people you surround yourself with will either push you forward or hold you back. They will either fill your life with positivity and encouragement or drain you with negativity and doubt. The choice is yours. When you invest in the right relationships, you create a foundation of emotional strength that helps you navigate life with confidence, resilience, and a sense of belonging. Emotional strength is not about always being positive or never feeling down. It's about having the ability to shift your perspective, even in the toughest moments. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will always come. But the way you view those challenges determines how much power they have over you. Cultivating a positive mindset doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to focus on solutions rather than problems, gratitude rather than lack, and growth rather than failure. Perspective is everything. Two people can experience the same setback, yet one may feel completely defeated, while the other sees an opportunity to learn and grow. The difference isn't in the situation itself, but in the way they interpret it. Emotionally strong people understand that while they may not control what happens to them, they always control how they respond. They train themselves to ask, "What can I learn from this?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" This shift in mindset helps them move forward, rather than staying stuck in negativity. One of the most powerful tools for maintaining a positive mindset is gratitude. It's easy to focus on what's missing, what's wrong, or what could be better. But emotionally strong people make a habit of appreciating what they have. Even in difficult times, they find small things to be grateful for: a supportive friend, a lesson learned, a new opportunity. This practice doesn't erase pain or struggle, but it shifts attention to what is still good, and that makes challenges feel less overwhelming. Another way to cultivate a positive mindset is by reframing negative thoughts. The mind has a tendency to focus on the worst-case scenario, blowing problems out of proportion. But emotionally strong people recognize these thought patterns and consciously challenge them. Instead of thinking, "I'll never succeed," they remind themselves, "Success takes time and I'm making progress." Instead of believing, "I'm not good enough," they affirm, "I'm constantly improving and growing." This mental shift isn't about blind optimism. It's about choosing thoughts that empower rather than limit. Maintaining a positive mindset also involves surrounding yourself with the right influences. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, and the conversations you engage in all shape your perspective. If you constantly hear negativity, complaints, and doubt, it will naturally impact your own mindset. But when you surround yourself with encouragement, inspiration, and uplifting perspectives, you begin to see the world in a more hopeful way. Emotionally strong people are intentional about protecting their mental space, choosing influences that reinforce positivity and growth. Self-compassion is another key element. Many people are their own worst critics, speaking to themselves in ways they would never speak to a friend. But emotional strength means replacing self-criticism with self-encouragement. When mistakes happen, instead of saying, "I'm a failure," emotionally strong people say, "I made a mistake, but I can learn from this." They treat themselves with kindness and understanding, knowing that growth comes from experience, not perfection. Of course, there will always be moments of doubt, frustration, and sadness. No one is positive all the time, and that's okay. Emotional strength isn't about avoiding these emotions, it's about not letting them control your life. It's about acknowledging them, processing them, and then choosing to move forward. Even in the darkest moments, there is always a way to find light, and emotionally strong people train themselves to look for it. A positive mindset is not something you are born with. It's a habit you build. The more you practice shifting your thoughts, focusing on gratitude, and surrounding yourself with the right influences, the stronger your mindset becomes. End quote. And with that strength, you gain the ability to handle life's ups and downs with confidence, resilience, and hope.